13, 6:15 p.m. Mr. Bailey, if you do roll call, please.
Steve Stahl. Here. John Hagnar.
Here.
Mike Barnes.
Here.
Bob Pitts. Here. Jim Allen.
Here.
Gary Toad.
Here.
Sam Busey.
Here. Okay. First point of business, we need to amend the agenda to allow citizens who wish to speak for less than 3 minutes on this issue.
I'll make the motion to amend the agenda to allow our residents to speak.
Mr. Stahl.
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Busey.
Yes.
Mr. Hagnar.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Toad.
Yes.
Pitts.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we have 2 people signed up. If you'd approach the podium, state your name and address after I call you up. First one.
Sorry, I'm going to do the pledge. I was asking.
Oh, I'm thinking the special one.
I don't know. I'm just asking. That's all. Doesn't matter.
We don't have on the agenda, but we don't have a council meeting. Go forth, Shane Stahl.
Evening, gentlemen. My name is Shane Stahl. I live at 70 Lincoln Avenue. I have a couple of questions, a couple of concerns this evening that I'd like to be addressed, if that's at all possible, regarding North River Road and the moving of the boundaries. I have copies of 2 letters here that Mayor Larson sent to Stowe Mayor Drew, one with a date of August 6th, one with a date of August 11th. The August 6th letter essentially states that there was an agreement that was received allowing Stowe to do work in the city on North River Road, and then a bunch of objections as to why the work shouldn't be done, that he had a long discussion with City Council about it, and doesn't want to move forward. He wants to discuss the construction of a culvert. Then the letter dated August 11th says, essentially, we still want to discuss the culvert, but now we don't want to do the work unless we move the boundary and give Stowe that section of North River Road. So I'm curious as to why we keep throwing options up at the door. We want to do the work, we want to sign the agreement, now we don't want to do the work. Now we want to do the work, but we only want to do the work if we move the boundary. So to me, as a citizen, a taxpayer, that looks like, let's throw everything we can at the wall and see what sticks. That's not leadership, in my opinion, that's laziness. And that's an unwillingness to cooperate. And Stowe has repeatedly offered their services again and again. To my understanding, Stowe has done the engineering, or will do the engineering, and will do it with their manpower. The only thing that Munroe Falls would have to pay for would be materials, which the state of Ohio would then reimburse the city for at a rate of 75%. So that seems like a done deal to me. Like that's pretty much, we're getting a good end of the bargain. So I don't understand that. My questions about this are why do we need to move the boundary? What could Stowe possibly gain from moving the boundary? They're not gaining any kind of income. They're gaining increased maintenance for their city, if anything. Why do we need to do that? Why hasn't the road been opened? If we couldn't agree on the final solution, why couldn't we at least fill the road, or plate the road, or do something to get the road open to traffic? Because right now, the way it stands, the way that this council has acted, this road isn't going to be open before school starts. And so I'd like an answer as far as what kind of additional time are we going to have to ask the school to add, and what kind of additional cost is the district going to add, and why do the children of the school district have to suffer because all of you can't come up with a solution and cooperate with the city of Stowe? That's my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Stahl, I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the hemp tree study?
No, I'm not.
Okay, then we're going to talk about it later.
Right.
I think it probably would be very informative for you.
Okay, next person signed up, Kathy McCormick.
Kathy McCormick. I live at 220 South River Road. And obviously I'm here to address the same issue. I am confused as to why the city could not come to an agreement to repair North River Road, and how it is possible that it is the better alternative to just give some of our land away. The only thing that I can think of is that somehow it is too expensive to make that repair. Is that the case? That the materials that are being asked for by Stowe is just too expensive and we can't afford it? If that's the case, then is this city in financial trouble and we don't know it as citizens? Also, if there was a meeting that took place to discuss the giving of this land to Stowe as the best choice for the city, when did that meeting take place? Who was present at that meeting? Your ordinance or proposed ordinance states that the city of Munroe Falls and the city of Stowe together desire to adjust the boundaries. We're the city of Munroe Falls. You guys represent us. We are the city of Munroe Falls. So I would like to know when any of our opinions were asked. And because you were supposed to represent us, I also want to know when that meeting took place to make this decision, because my understanding is it wasn't publicized. So that means only one or two of you must have been present. So in that case, how can you possibly be representing the city of Munroe Falls? Those are my questions.
I think the only person that wasn't at last week's meeting was Steve Stahl.
So this all took place at last week's meeting?
I believe so.
No, I never heard this last week's meeting about changing the boundaries. It said it off candy, but I never heard an actual discussion about it.
So it didn't take place during the council meeting? That was
There was an off-comment remark about doing it, but it was never actually discussed at council meeting.
So that statement does not represent the feelings of the representatives of the city?
I found this out 2 days ago.
Like the rest of us?
Yes.
Mr. Iona,
Yes.
the sign-up sheet was withdrawn before the meeting started. I didn't have an opportunity to sign it. I would like to speak to council.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Ron Miner, 61 Spring Garden Drive. I'm pretty sure I understand why you gentlemen are considering giving this land to Stowe. As far as I see right now, what's happening is they're proposing a repair, not a fix. I don't know how many of you have done what I, in the past, did 3 times, and that was to look at where the creek crosses under Highwood, where it crosses under Charing Cross, and where it crosses under North River Road. There's never been any indication of any erosion where it crosses Highwood, where it crosses Charing Cross, and yet North River Road has been washed out. So it's pretty obvious to me, and by the way, my background, I have a bachelor's degree in engineering physics, I have a master's degree in physics. I understand how water flows. I've worked with it as a factory manager for about 12 years. So it's pretty obvious to me that some water was being added between Charing Cross and North River Road. It turns out that that water is being added by the new development on State Route 59. I don't know if you've ever been back in there, but there's a huge, I hate to call it a retention pond because it's in fact a lake. And it has a dam, and if that dam should ever break, I'm afraid that the people downstream are going to be in for quite a surprise. Number 2, the church that was just built up there has 3 drains in their parking lot. I've been told that they have an underground retention system. Now, do they have a stack so that water evaporates? I don't think so. So that water is also going somewhere. Their parking lot, when I looked at it today, the grass area that ran under their parking lot has been washed out, repaired, and they have bales of straw there to keep the water from their parking lot washing it out again. In addition to that, there's another development in progress between those two developments right now that apparently has no retention pond. Mr. Brubaker, apparently, the county engineer, was heard to say that if the culvert that exists on North River Road right now was not plugged, then it's not big enough. Well, I'm inclined to agree with Mr. Brubaker. Has anybody, with this proposal, I've not seen the plans from Stowe, but has anybody asked to see their calculations, or is this one of these pull it out of your wherever and then schlock it down on paper to repair it? How about tests on what the road that remains on Stowe's side of North River Road? I'm pretty sure, looking at the road which I looked at today, it is extremely unstable. Where are the test results that say that that can remain as it is? That should not be removed and replaced also. Also, how about the elevations? It looks to me, just eyeballing it without a transit, that the low spot of that road is right where the barriers are on the Munroe Falls side, not anywhere near where the culvert is, and it appears that it's no more than 6 inches, perhaps maybe even a foot above the top of the culvert. The low spot is not over the culvert. I can understand why you gentlemen want to give this to Stowe, because I want that road fixed, not repaired. I'd also like to know how it was that the road was closed the nights of the rain. Were police officers there from Stowe and also from Munroe Falls closing that off, or did some citizen call in and say, you know, I almost drove into a river? I don't want to do that myself, and for sure I don't want my wife driving into a river when it flows over that road again and end up down in the Cuyahoga River. There's been talk about that if we put a larger pipe or culvert in there, it's going to cause more damage downstream. Gentlemen, it's not volume necessarily, it's head, it's elevation, it's velocity that causes the damage. Otherwise, rice fields wouldn't exist. So, I don't want you to give away our land either. But by gosh, if that's what it's going to take to get Stowe to do some intelligent engineering, some correct engineering, with some facts behind it, to prove to everybody that what they're putting in there is going to work, then give it to Stowe. And the next time it floods and it washes out, then they can fix it. And if it washes out, I just pray to God that nobody that I know, or anybody at all, is in that low spot when that river comes over that road again. And I think that's your responsibility. I think that's Stowe's responsibility. I think it's the mayor's responsibility, Mayor Larson, and especially Mayor Drew, to fix it, not repair it. My suggestion is to you to offer to them that we will pay for the materials if they will do the correct engineering and then do the installation and fix that road the way it should be, and not just repair it so it can happen again. Thank you.
May I make a comment? My understanding, maybe Stowe can help me out with this, that the engineering is made to handle the water, correct? Is that correct?
You want me to testify?
Please, yes. And also, somebody's walking up there, and once you go, Highway PA said if we do any more calls, we'll need retention ponds.
What?
We will need retention ponds. That's in the study. So we would be liable for any damages, if I'm not mistaken, if something does happen. So we would, maybe 3 at least, if that's not, that's my understanding.
Mr. Chairman, do I
Introduce yourself.
Sure, do I have a floor? Thank you. My name is Mike Bracer. I'm a city councilman in Stowe, 4312 Eagle Avenue in Stowe.
an at-large city council member, vice president of council, and chairman of the finance committee. I can't speak to the retention basins. I haven't seen those plans. What I can tell you is that our remedy, as proposed by our civil engineers, has been that we keep the culvert at the size that it is. We bolster the south end of that culvert, and that will hold up. It probably should have been done last time it was fixed. It wasn't, and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, in terms of taking possession of that road and really betting on what our engineers have to say. So I haven't seen a contrary report from an engineer, and until there is, I don't think anyone in this room really has a basis to disagree.
Agreed. Mr. Rader, I would ask you a question. I take it you haven't seen the Hammond Tree report either.
No, I have not. I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
It was sent to your mayor, and I believe was it sent to the council too. And I know it was sent to your mayor, but basically it states that Hammond Tree is basically saying, I'm going to summarize this, that the calculations that Stowe did were based on rural regression equations, which I'm reading into this, that means it's like out in the country. Sure. And as opposed to flow calculations related to an urban regression equation, which is like what we have in the city of Munroe Falls and the city of Stowe. The implication is that the rural regression equations would have a higher flow rate because you have impervious material, more impervious material. And in fact, they summarized in the report that based on the flood damage that they saw, that the latter was probably the case. That being the case, it's pretty clear, and they say this, that a larger culvert is needed, and that based on these calculations, that doing it any other way would lead to future overtopping later. They also mentioned, as the EPA did, that there is the potential for downstream problems should a similar situation occur. I mean, I got to tell you, to me, this is the smoking gun. This is saying that look, it's crazy not to fix it the right way. The right way being the oversized culvert.
Who commissioned the Hammond Tree report?
We did. City of Munroe Falls did. This is dated. The report's dated July 15th. I don't know when the mayor probably is.
How much does that culvert cost right now that you're doing it in Wildlife Road, the bigger culvert? The $250,000?
It's several $100,000.
So I'm going to say it's $250,000. So what they're proposing is that if it does go over, it can handle it. Correct? Our water, right now, in this northern road, if it does flood, it can handle the water, correct?
Our proposed repair, from what our engineers say, yes, will handle the water.
And then we have a discussion on how PA we can do stuff upriver, so it will not overflow. Was that in discussion as well?
No, the EPA says that even doing what they would want to do upriver, that there still would be overtopping with that size culvert in there.
But we still have
Stowe states that they would use the road as a spillway.
okay. So it can handle the water.
Well, correct. If you get back to what Mr. Myers said, if it's going over the road, his wife might be driving through.
Okay. Oh, has that happened yet? An issue? I'm just saying, has it? I mean, I don't know.
All you have to do is look at the news and you see stupid people driving through high water.
Well, all I can really speak to is our own employees who we pay to give a nonpartisan, unbiased opinion as to what should be done until I'm interested to see.
I realize you can't speak for your council, you're just one person, but is it fair to say that Stowe's primary interest here is opening the road?
We certainly have a huge interest in opening the road, but we do not want to jeopardize safety in any way.
Well, do you realize that it might be our primary interest to be sure that it's fixed right, so we don't have to pay for this a fifth time?
Well, if you give us the road, then it's our responsibility.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. We're betting on our engineer's report if we take that road. And I'll tell you, I can't speak for any given city council member except myself, but I can tell you that we have soft commitments from 5 members of city council in Stowe as of last night to, in principle, take possession of the road. One of our members here, Brian D'Antonio, was in attendance tonight. He may be able to add a little more, but from what our perspective is, we would have 3 conditions. One being, as discussed, materials are paid for by Munroe Falls. 2, that work begins immediately. I understand the 3 reading rule, but we need to get this fixed before school starts, and we need to, I mean, it's embarrassing, to be frank with you, that our city's having been able to come together sooner and open this road. And 3rd, that we get a period to do some due diligence in addition to the problem area to see if there's any other reason we shouldn't take the road.
Are you saying that you have approval from your council, or you
No.
have approval?
No.
Has there been a legal vote, a meeting vote?
No, absolutely not.
Because we seem to have those meetings once in a while too, and somebody seems to stray.
We may have a stray. We have, like I said, just an informal straw poll was taken. And that's the thing, I mean, I do a lot of business deals. I'm a transactional where usually you get 2 gentlemen or ladies in the room and they make a deal. This is a lot more complicated. Frank Larson and Sarah Drew can't just make a deal. They have to have their council approve. So this is, with respect to the lady who questioned when this meeting occurred, really it can't happen. It has to happen in some informal way for us to move on this in an expedient manner.
All right, I have one other question. If Munroe Falls is supplying all the material, what's the objection for a bigger pipe?
My understanding was if we go for the larger culvert option, that would be borne by both cities. And correct me if I'm wrong, because that was just an assumption of mine.
But we also have to worry about what's going to happen down the river.
I agree with that, but
There's
I'm
3
trying to figure out what the objection is for Stowe to say, you're at by a bigger pipe.
They won't, in our discussions.
Whose discussion, Frank?
Pardon?
Whose discussion?
In discussions, my discussion, and I had our service director with me, that we've stated that from day one, that we felt that it needed to be corrected right. It would need a bigger culvert, and it would need some kind of retention basin upstream. Neither of those items have been thoroughly discussed with the Stowe mayor. It's always been, we will design a way that will stop the erosion on the Munroe Falls side, but not anything to stop the water from overtopping.
Well, that's what I don't understand. If we're buying the culvert,
to try to get off the stalemate, I offered the suggestion that you go ahead and fix it the way they had designed it, that would just do the erosion, that they take control of the road, and then they won't have to deal with us on when the culvert needs replaced.
May I make a comment? You know, I'm the law director, so I'm not elected, not the mayor, but let me explain for the benefit of the people that are here. You've heard about a larger culvert, you've heard about retention basins, you've heard about upstream, downstream, over the road. Truthfully, both sides need to take the emotions out of this. From day one, we heard from the county engineer that the culvert should be increased in size. We heard from Hammondtree that the culvert should be increased in size. We heard from the EPA that the culvert should be increased in size. However, the EPA also added the caveat that if you increase the culvert in size, you're going to have further downstream damage because of the velocity of the water, as Mr. Meyer talked about, unless you create retention basins or areas that will retain the water further upstream, which is in the city of Stowe. So when you take all the emotions out of it, I frankly commend both cities for coming together in what appears to be a collaborative effort to address the problem. The problem is getting that road open. The city of Munroe Falls, and Frank Larson is the mayor, have maintained the culvert needs to be larger. But we can't make the culvert larger unless Stowe goes up and acquires land upstream to put in retainage basins, or there's additional riprap and other materials downstream to protect the people downstream. So it's part us, part them. And so there has been a friendly disagreement. City of Stowe has said, our city engineers say that the existing culvert will be okay. What we will do is we will take the back side or the south side of North River Road. We will put in some retainage material in the form of concrete or stone so that when the water floods over top of the road, it won't wash that back side out. And I've seen the drawings, and some of the drawings show that they actually channel the water across the road and down into the stream bed. That allows for the pipe that's there, the size, to remain the same, which avoids the further problem downstream, but it's still going to permit overflow, or top flow, if you will, across the top of the road. The mayor and council are interested in protecting the taxpayers' dollars in the city of Munroe Falls, not necessarily the taxpayers' dollars in Stowe. That's up to Mr. Razor and the Stowe Council people. So if it's going to cost right now $85,000 of city funds, Munroe Falls funds, to to repair what's already damaged, the next time we have a similar storm, the mayor and council are going to spend $85,000 more of your money to fix that same problem if Stowe is wrong. Stowe has said, we believe we're right. And so we called our question, and the mayor said, fine, just take that. Already the road is divided down the middle. So we will just move the boundary south to the south side of North River Road, convey that to the city of Stowe. They can make their repair, and if they're right, we're all happy. And if they're wrong, we're still happy, they're not. They get to pay for the next repair, and it won't come out of the taxpayers' dollars here of $85,000. So I commend both of them with coming up with a solution that neither side is particularly happy about. But it gets the road open, it shifts the burden of future repairs to the city of Stowe, and the city of Munroe Falls loses nothing because we don't get any revenue out of that highway. We plow it, we pave it, and we mark it. So that expense will be conveyed to the city of Stowe, saving Munroe Falls taxpayers' dollars.
Well said, Councilor.
If we vote this tonight, will we be guaranteed to start this week on repairs?
If this is the first reading, it takes 3 readings.
So what do we wait for readings for this?
Morrison was making a memorandum of understanding for the mayor of Stowe and the mayor of Munroe Falls to sign. And I would think that after that is signed, then repairs could start.
Let me respond to that. I have been asked to prepare an agreement that both the mayor of Stowe and our mayor would sign. I frankly am a little reluctant to do that because our mayor and Mayor Drew have no authority to sign any such agreement until their respective councils authorize them to do that. But there has been an understanding between Mayor Larson and Mayor Drew that we would present it to our council, which we have, and he put that in a letter of August 11th. And she likewise is going to have their council look at it. And as Mr. Razor said, you have 5 soft votes, which means you believe your council will approve it, much like Frank Larson believes this council will approve it. That's the way the business works. So what we want to do is act in good faith, have our first reading tonight. We anticipate that Stowe will act in good faith, and do you have to go 3 readings?
I've heard vote to the contrary, but just assume we do.
Okay, then they'll have their first reading. We'll have our second reading, they'll have their second reading. We'll have our third reading, and presumably we'll pass it. And they'll have their third reading, and my suspicion is, based upon the outside pressure of the media and the citizens in both communities, they'll pass it. By the time that does occur, the city of Stowe and the city of Munroe Falls will have already authorized the repairs that will be done.
So
There'll be,
It won't take 6 weeks then?
the work's gonna start immediately.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Okay, so we can guarantee after they sign, and then the two mayors.
We're gonna do a memorandum of understanding, it's not an agreement, because neither of them have authority to bind either of the municipalities without council approval. So it's a memorandum of
I
understanding.
guess what if it doesn't pass and so then?
The work still would have been done, correct?
The work would still be done, but I can assure you that the council people in Stowe are gonna pass it.
Well, here's my thing. Like you, like us, you're representative people still.
Sure.
So if the whole process, if the people, you solve the green out, but the people still are adamantly against it, I would imagine you'd be like, vote no for it, like I would, just because you're representing them. So that's a big issue there.
I've done my homework, I've made my decision. You can put it in the newspaper, Mr. Saunders, I'm voting for it. This is the only solution there is. I've talked to Frank, I've talked to Sarah. I kind of helped broker this a little bit because it's really the only thing out there. I admire both mayors by sticking to their guns, but it's just not going to change. We could go another year with that road being closed, and you might laugh, but it's true.
that's just a bump the road. Mayor Drew could veto it. I mean, it could be a.
Certainly, it's not. We can't give you a full-blown commitment because of Ohio law, but you have my word. If Brian wants to get up here and give a couple words for himself, we can, but I think we're on the right track finally. It's been a long time. The residents of Pandy Farms are fed up.
North of the road, or states as well. So.
I have one question. The drawings call out for a 100-foot bridge. The bridge over there now is 61 feet. Now, is that a flat bridge, or are we going to do the dip in the middle of it?
It's not bridges.
Well, to me, it's a bridge.
All we're going to do is repair the existing asphalt.
Well, here's the existing asphalt.
So you're looking at it,
Here's a new bridge.
it's not a bridge.
New road.
No, it's an underground retaining wall. It will be below the surface will be asphalt to keep it from eroding back under.
Is this going to be all new asphalt?
Yes, just the part of Munroe.
So Jack, answer your question. So moving forward, this agreement with
Memorandum of understanding.
The work will start immediately or as soon as Stowe can break the resources loose to do it. We would still pay for the material, which is
Yes, the arrangement is that as we have been able to obtain some funds, we would pay for the materials. They would provide the engineering and labor. And at the conclusion of the project, the 3 readings will have occurred, and we will take over ownership of the paved road.
There's a couple of things that would be contracted out to third party.
Guardrails
and
paving.
Did we get that grant?
We'd be responsible for that.
Did we get that grant from that second? What's that?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so we don't know for sure yet.
That's one of those things that you spend the money and then you get reimbursed on.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Razor, it's my understanding that the work could take approximately 4 days.
That's my understanding.
Okay, so in theory, work could start, well, even this week.
I've heard Friday or Monday,
Yeah.
as long as there's no snags with this memorandum.
All the utilities have been located. Work doesn't start within 10 days, and I have to be relocated, which will delay about 48 hours. And council did approve, this council did approve $75,000 towards the repair of the roads. We already have money in the budget for the material.
But we'll seek reimbursement from
We'll seek reimbursement from that point, if we can get reimbursement.
Okay, so I want to be sure I understand. So the way it stands right now, there's really no obstacle to this thing being finished pretty quickly, other than the
signature agreement.
Well, listen, you have to understand, there's no agreement that Frank Larson and Sarah Drew can sign to bind their respective municipalities. It is nothing more than a good faith gesture on both of their parts to say, we've come together in a collaborative effort. This is what we believe is probably the best way to get the road open as quickly as possible. There's some sharing of expense, some shifting of post-repair responsibilities, and it will be dependent upon the council of both cities to ultimately authorize that boundary change.
And Mr. Razor, what's Mrs. Drew's perspective or her viewpoint on this?
She's on board.
Mr. Razor, I think we all know that what Mr. Meyer said, because a number of us have walked that northern part, and the water damage is very obvious. It's obvious where this water is coming from. So I would really encourage, the city of Stowe and council to really take a good close look at that, because that's where it's starting. That's where you really want to make that road work, address the problems with it.
Certainly appreciate that.
Well, Ms. Thames, first I want to thank you for
thank you for coming.
For coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So we'd also like to plant the seed. At some point, we may seek Stowe's assistance in looking at problems we have on the highway as well.
Okay. Pass it along.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Ordinances, Mr. Bailey, read by title.
Anybody else? Yeah. Anybody else want to speak this evening? There were a few folks that came in.
Here. Can I just ask one question?
You gotta come to the podium and state your name, I'm sorry. This is being recorded.
Hi, I'm Linda Trevaro. I live in River Park Estates. What caused the original division between the road, between the cities to begin with? I'm just curious about the history as to why that road was split between two communities.
Linda, all I can say is if you look at a map, people who draw boundary lines can't follow streams, can't draw straight lines, make squares. They've got, for some reason or another, zigs and zags, and you got to go back to the history. Who owned what? Who had the power to do it? And there's all sorts of reasons. I lived in a place 300 miles north of here that had islands. You don't even have to go that far. You can go down in the valley and you can look at Cauga Falls surrounded by Akron, and Akron surrounded by Cauga Falls.
I get that.
There's no real
If
reason.
anybody here knew that history. Also, a concern I would have, I suppose, would be what kind of a precedent will this be setting as to how we resolve our differences? That we give away pieces, parts, is that going to be a precedent that's going to be set for future issues that might happen between, let's say we go up 91 to Talmadge, we go up 91 to Stowe, we go down Munroe Falls Avenue to Copper Falls. Are those going to be issues moving forward? If something happened on Charing Cross and split between two cities, what kind of a precedent are we setting by resolving it in this manner? Just, I would hope that there has been some consideration as to the precedent that we just sort of give away pieces, parts. I don't know that that will be a problem in the future, but, and the other concern I had was this a 100-year flood problem? Was this a 10-year flood problem? How long, is it projected? I mean, none of us can project in the future, but when they're rating our flood problems, how they say a 100-year flood or a 20-year flood or however they rate them, what was the rating on this particular problem that created the road problem?
Let me tell you this, first of all, I can't remember whether it's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years ago. But a 100-year flood is supposed to be a flood that you only see once in 100 years.
Right.
We saw 3 of them 5 years ago in one summer, and now we're seeing another one, so I'm feeling about 461 years old. There's no rhyme or reason. This was a 100+ year storm.
And was it part of it because it was a cheap fix each of the last 5 times? I mean,
If I may respond to a certain degree, I think even with a bigger culvert, if we get a May 12th rain, 4 inches of rain in 2 hours, it's going to overflow the road. Still can't put in a big enough pipe. I mean, we've had previous hard rains before, that amount of rainwater. I mean, you had cars floating down East Avenue in Talmadge, you had cars floating at Grand Road in Stowe. I mean, and not that we won't have those, but I don't think you could put in a big enough pipe.
Yeah, I think that all design was that it would have problem 100, well not correct, it said it would have a problem 100 so
25 years.
It would have a problem 25 years long?
It's rated for the lower end of the 25 years.
Even the bigger one?
No, they didn't, nobody's drawn up to it.
Okay, I heard that one of the council meetings still have issues.
The current culvert can handle the lower end of the 10-year storm, according to the EPA. Cannot handle the upper end of the 10-year storm. I believe the 25-year culvert, I think he said that the 100-year storm would not top the road.
I thought it was the other way. I remember reading that, but I could be wrong.
And the other question, I have one more. Coming downstream, whose backyards are going to be affected? Family farms?
Family farms.
Or North River Road? You know, I mean, or River Park?
Canby Farms, Mr. D'Antonio, Mr. Razor can deal with that.
So Canby Farms' backyards will flood, or their backyards will just fall into the ravine or whatever will be created when the water just...
Mostly their golf course.
Pardon?
Most of their golf course.
There's two properties in the city of Munroe Falls. The city has a park, because we have a water line that goes back through, ties into Willow Grove. The majority of that is correct in Munroe Falls does go through city property. And then there's the last house before Canby Farm on the right-hand side. Their property drops off significantly in the back. It does cross to the back of their property.
The White House?
Yes, then goes in the store.
Now, I just hope there's been some thought as to precedent of how you're going to establish relationships and negotiations when joint projects occur in the future.
Linda, I'll comment on that. Just for the record, Munroe Falls got a temporary traffic light. We had a one-lane road open, and when the cost came out and we asked Stowe to participate, Stowe said no. We looked at the road was in terrible shape, we had to close it. We did try to cooperate with Stowe several times. This is not a Stowe against Munroe Falls, there's been some issues, but...
I understand.
And they cooperated several times too, but yeah, it's re-engineering and
And
labor.
the light's free for 2 weeks.
This is actually for both communities. As our elected officials and our leaders, I think we need to grow up, sit in a room when emergencies happen, and try not to let this become such a ridiculously public debate over something that perhaps could have been resolved in a much different level and in a much earlier time. So if you don't become desperate, what can we desperately get done, because that school bus has to drive down North River Road.
In all fairness too, some of the time frame issues where we're trying to receive money from the state. So that in that regards, I will stick over the state of Munroe Falls. We're trying to be fiscally responsible and trying to receive some money, and that just takes time, unfortunately. If I'm not correct, am I? Okay, just want to make sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I hope you budget for contingencies and for emergencies as you know they're going to happen.
Agreed.
Things like this happen. So that would be, those are just my words of wisdom that I would hope you could just kind of...
And that's what our thinking is. We don't want to do a quick fix and be back in 2 years asking the city of Munroe Falls residents to repair it again.
It's the same fix you were a week after it happened. I think it should have been resolved perhaps at that point. I'm just moving forward, you know, just try to set, as it was told, emotions aside, do what's right, get it repaired.
And I also agree with you. I am concerned about the precedence, what's in this, set. That's a concern of mine as well. It's been going through my head too. So, agreed.
Thank you. Okay, everybody's talked that needed to this evening. Thank you. Okay, moving on to ordinances, Mr. Bailey, by title only, please.
Ordinance 2014-02, an ordinance adjusting the municipal boundaries of the city of Munroe Falls and the adjoining municipality of the city of Stowe, pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 709-37, in respect to municipal charters and ordinances. Resolutions. Amending Resolution 2014-32, resolution declaring intent to proceed with election on the oppression of a tax in excess of 10 limitation for police purposes and declaring an emergency.
I just have a question for Mr. Morrison on this. In the language of this on page 2, the third paragraph down, now therefore be resolved, the clerk of council shall be as hereby directed to certify along with another resolution, not later than August 5th.
That's all been done. This has all been done. The only thing that this is effectively accomplishing is taking out these two statutory sections in the language that will appear on the ballot.
And that's okay.
So everything has been done. The Secretary of State's office came back and said, clean this up, take out I and you, because it would be these funds have to be segregated, and there's no way to segregate them if you're including police, fire, and EMS.
Right, and I just want to make sure that it's not a problem with the 70 days since we're changing.
No. It's all done. It's already been approved. They're just amending this language.
Okay. I just want to make sure we were having an issue.
So we need to pass that tonight.
We need a motion now.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to amend resolution 2014.
No, just suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules.
And omit all further readings.
And omit all further readings and amend resolution 2014-32.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Gizzi?
Yes.
Mr. Herman?
Yes.
Mr. Hagar?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pitts?
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt. Amend resolution 2014-32.
I'll second.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Mr. Hagar?
Yes.
Mr. Pitts? Yes. Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mr. Herman?
Yes.
Mr. Gizzi?
Yes.
Again, I'd like to thank Councilman D'Antonio and Councilman Razor for being in attendance this evening from the city of Stowe. And that, we're going to call for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourning at 7:05.
Just for a benefit of the members, you're right.
How about, Mr. Barnes, we start with you with safety, since the safety people are all here and for allowing.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
We'll start with the fire department.
Yes.
Chief Jason's here, and he is going to enlighten us.
Good evening, everyone. No, I've already sent you my report, and for me, the highlight of the report is we did receive official word on July 31st. We received a grant with 4 other fire departments for $740,000. $750,000 at Talmadge, Monroe, Renfield, Lakemore, and Munroe Falls are just going to use to replace our self-contained breathing apparatus. Ours are obsolete. We need to get them replaced. And we'll save Munroe Falls roughly $170,000. We have to pay for it out of our own pocket. So it's excellent for us. We've had our first meetings together as a group. We're working on a letter of understanding so that we can move forward with the purchase. We'll be passing it on to the mayor, law director for their input, as well as to Dave Bailey Finance. That was our highlight. The other highlight thing I put on my report is that the Summit County Communication Group, the people who are the end users of the 800 megahertz radio system, which is every municipality, every police department, fire department. As of 2018, the current system will be obsolete and will no longer be able to be used. We have to replace it. There isn't a choice that we have. Everybody in Summit County will have to. And so as a result, the group itself, the end users, which represents every community in Munroe Falls, put their hat in for support of the sales tax and sale and use tax that's going to be on the ballot for Summit County in the fall year. If not, then our replacement cost could be as high as $468,000 in 2018 for radios. That includes radios for cruisers, fire department, personal radios, the portable radios, as well as the infrastructure cost that's going to be for the towers, the software, the hardware, the backup system. And that's why that group decided to put their hat into support that.
Question about that, never mind. I'm curious, is it going to be obsolete because that band's not going to no longer be used? Do you know?
They had to go back and change. That's correct. That is correct. And we have too many. The whole system was initially generated for the interoperability, so that we could go anywhere, any place, and talk to somebody without having to worry about radio communication. And when we started that, we have found that over the years, we have given that system out, that 800 megahertz system out to so many different organizations and groups that it's become crowded. As a result, everybody has to move to a different frequency, a different band.
Wouldn't it make more sense for the government to tell the people that all the non-emergency people that they gave that out to back off? You have to get a new one.
And what they have
Or
decided,
then they can't use it to extort your support for a tax levy that.
and what they've done is that they've told us, the end users, the emergency system, and the little governments, that you need to go back, get to a different frequency that will be isolated for us only at this point.
And who is going to keep the 800 system?
All those users who are using it. All the other users who have been assigned that.
But the big cities, are they?
Oh, big cities, no, everybody's going to. One of the things about it is that we all have to convert to the newer system. And in the future, if you want to go for grants, you have to be compliant with those standards.
Nationwide or that's statewide?
Nationwide.
So everything, yeah, I think that, I almost think they're selling that intermeasure band, I thought.
They sold a bunch of it.
Yeah, I thought they were selling that.
They made a big deal early on, years ago. Everybody got a lot of free radios because Sprint or somebody made a deal with them to buy bandwidth. And
I think Google bought
years ago, I believe it was.
I thought Google bought billions of them.
They may have, but I know that.
Well, if Google has it, then it's okay.
Yeah. I know at the high school, we were notified that the 800 megahertz stage mics couldn't be used any longer. We had to cease and desist, and we had to switch to lead, and that was like 2 years ago. So
what band is that?
That was 806 something or other.
And here's the thing too, my understanding, when it comes to megahertz, when it comes to that kind of frequency, the higher the frequency, the more bandwidth, the lower the frequency, the more distance. So my understanding, I think what we're trying to do as well is make more bandwidth and do more sort of, I don't know, computer calculation, you can have more traffic, you know. So like,
156, we're good now.
You know what, Steve, we're in trouble because we can't even have a 100-watt light bulb on the porch. It would have to be a 40-watt or
Oh, the incandescent.
Yeah.
No. I don't know.
They, shortly after the 800, people started complaining. They talked about going to 700.
For distance.
Yeah. So what's the proposal now? Sorry, I'm going to go and get my phone.
Buy Motorola.
No, what do we have to do now? What's the new standard?
For us right now, we have to do nothing. Right now is that you're going to depend upon what happens with that levy. You saw the city of Akron receive, I think it was $1.9 million FEMA grant this past week also with the grant that we got. And a lot of that is going toward the Summit County infrastructure to help make that conversion. So everybody's working together to try to get to that point. For us, we do nothing at this point. We're all relying on, we'll see what happens with whether or not that levy passes. If the levy passes, then our costs will be extremely minimal.
But we have to go away from the 800 system, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
To what system?
What's the megahertz?
P25 system, what it'll be called. And that
P25?
P25. P is Paul.
Is that a gigahertz frequency? You know, or not our megahertz still?
Megahertz.
Because I'm going to call Akron Radio tomorrow and get it from them. It'll go down.
Wow.
Because we have a lot of radios.
Is there a date on this?
It'll be everybody. It'll be the ports. I mean, you know what, they have the actual list of every radio in Summit County based upon every city. And I'm sure your radios are in that group because it includes the metro parks, it includes the sheriffs, it includes...
Yeah, we have 42 radios we use for transport and officers, for probation officers.
Is there a date? By date?
It's 2018.
January 1, 2018?
Yeah. That might be good for a couple of these.
Questions for the chief?
Thanks.
Anything unusual going on?
Can't discuss that. No.
We'll switch to the police department. Chief?
Good evening. Thank you, Mike. The month of July, the highlight was the National Night Out. Actually, that was in August, but that was such a great thing. I want to tell you about it now. Was that we had about 325 people attend. In fact, your boss was there, the TOC showed up. It was good to see them. And a couple councilmen and the mayor was there. And to me, it was a success for the first time. It was a joint effort with Talmadge and Cuyahoga Falls. Target donated several hamburgers and hot dogs. Sumo Western Reserve donated money. They had a bounce house for little kids there. Ronald McDonald was there. There was representatives from the Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Ohio Search and Rescue Team. Cuyahoga Falls SWAT was there. Summit County Rape Crisis and that women's shelter had a booth set up. It was just a great time. And I was a little worried with the weather that evening, but we had a great turnout considering. The second thing that I hope you guys got my report. I emailed it all to you, and if you didn't, please let me know so I can correct that in the future. We had our new MDTs that I obtained on a grant from Summit County installed in both our new Ford Explorers. They're awesome. They're a lot faster. Of course, anything new is nice, and they're really working out well, so I'm very pleased with that. I'm pleased to announce that we promoted Brandon Roble from part-time to full-time. Brandon was interviewed by myself and 2 sergeants. He was one of 4 candidates that put in for the position, and based on Brandon's attitude and his work record and productivity, he was a no-brainer to give a position to. And just the other day, I hired another part-time officer, a guy by the name of Steve Pensington. Steve is another full-time officer with John Carroll University. The thing that impressed me with Steve Pensington is, number one, he's an older fellow. He's in his upper 30s, I don't remember his exact. But the thing that was very impressive with Steve is that he is a police bicycle expert. As you guys know, I'm trying to promote a bicycle patrol here in Munroe Falls. Steve is going to police bike instructor school in September on John Carroll's dime. So we're going to be very fortunate to bring this skill set to our police department. So he'll be starting very soon. He hasn't started yet. I'm still interviewing. I'd like to add one more part-time officer. I just received a letter of resignation today from Jake Portman. Jake got hired by the city of Stowe. I'm real pleased and congratulate Jake on that. I think you do a fine job. He has scored. He was a great officer, as you guys know, for us. And he has scored actually number 3 in Cuyahoga Falls, number 5 in Stowe. And it was just a matter of who was going to get through the process faster, and Stowe won out. So hopefully we'll still get to see him, but Sunday is going to be his last day. So I'm real happy. I almost feel like a proud father, you know, a young guy going off in the big world. So
he's a graduate of our academy.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So I'm real pleased for Jake. And so I'd like to hire another part-timer soon. I'm interviewing them. I interviewed 3 guys last week. I think I know who I want, but he's got his Ohio certificate. He's got to take a physical fitness test and hopefully he'll get a certificate. We'll hopefully get him on board. As far as police calls, it was typical. We handled 113 calls. Just to put that in perspective, in the month of June, we handled 118 calls, so we're about right on par. We had about 17 arrests, 16 adults and 1 juvenile. Compare that to June, we had 8 arrests, so we doubled the arrests there. Citations issued, 86 compared to 78 in June, so right in the ballpark. And 5 traffic accidents, nothing real serious compared to 5 in the month of June, so that seems to be the norm. And other than that, I'm ready to answer any questions.
Did anybody find the guy that shot the deer in Steeplechase?
No. No, it was, we suspect it was an air gun.
It was quiet. My sister was standing 25 feet from
That's why nobody heard it, and we suspect it was an air gun. And nobody saw anything, though, and we knocked on a couple of doors. And
she was trying to upset baby. Just
it was a fawn. It wasn't that her. It was a young deer.
Yeah, it was a dove. I mean, it was a
fawn.
Fawn. Yeah. There was 2 of them there, and then there was one just keeled over.
Chief, a couple things. Police Academy, what's the status on it at this point?
Okay, we meeting Mayor Larson and myself, Chief Bellinger last week, and we're still taking applications. We're hoping we get enough applicants. We put a cutoff September 15th. If we don't have 16 applicants by September 15th, then it's a no-go. And I believe we have 11 as of today. So we're working on that.
And I met with Scott this morning. We have there's some things that we're doing that we're hoping that are going to be fruitful in getting more applicants. And the last academy was not run very well, and so we're having to overcome some sour taste that was left in some people's mouths, and I think that we're achieving that.
I got a question. If you're advertising, you're doing the police academy, and these guys sign up, nobody put a $200 deposit or $100, and then you cancel it, isn't that, I know not to lose money, but doesn't that put out the word that other people say don't sign up for it? We signed up and it got canceled. Does that set a precedent or not?
Well,
just curiosity what your thinking is on that. And I understand you got to make money, but where you draw a line in the dead coal right there at 15, or
the line is drawn by Mr. David.
Okay.
He looks at the figures. He looks at the ratio of instructors and what the costs are going to be.
How many?
We have had a couple people that wanted to come to our academy that have gone elsewhere, but we're offering an evening academy, and I think that we're going to be able to overcome that. I don't think that we're going to see that as a problem in the future.
Good. Okay, I was just curious with, I don't know, Kent State, I don't know who your competition is right now, but you just in my mind thinking that, if you cancel it, is it a sour taste before you even...
Well, we discussed that, Mr. Iona. We are aware of that. In fact, Mr. Bailey indicated that ideally, 18 would be ideally, but we're willing to go down to maybe 16, maybe even 15, just to get it going. So we get that message out there, hey, we're back in the ball game. So that's going to be the finance director's call, though, depending on the number. But we talked exactly about that.
And
because
yes, we've got a lot of people that we can point to and say, hey, look, these people went to our academy. Look at where they are now. I think that
just looking to it, I met with a lady today that ties into this. They offer criminal justice at her school. She told me her enrollment due to federal cutbacks with loans and everything, she had almost 1,500 students here in Akron in her college a year ago, and she's down to 500 today.
That's a
national problem, but I'm just saying, it's the money and you can't get help. And
you're probably referring to, they offer police academy, it's a vocational college.
I'll say it's Brown Mackey College.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I heard that, I was thinking, that's what's clicking in my head while I'm bringing this up, that we're hurting for students, that the money's tight, and I heard some stories that some signed up and then they're canceling because they probably can't afford it or what, I'm just trying to see a happy meeting. I think the academy's great. I like what you're doing at that fair falls, and is there anything we can do, more promotion of it or something that I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I hate to cancel it.
Yeah.
That's all I said. What can we do to, help Chief promote it, brochures, give us some out. I'm out in a lot of places.
Yeah, we've got some things in the works, and hopefully they'll pan out.
I'm hopeful that if we get this academy off the ground running, then I think it'll snowball and the word will get out that Munroe Falls is back in the game again. The mayor was sort of right. In the law enforcement circles, the last academy that was sponsored by Munroe Falls kind of got tarnished, kind of had a bad reputation of being not the best police academy. So we got to overcome that, and once we're back in the game, I'm confident with this beautiful.
Give me some brochures when I go to the chamber meeting next Tuesday.
We got some, yep.
I like to toss some out and talk about it. They're always asking us to talk about things that are tables, and that, that's something other cities don't have, and I'd like to plug it for you to help. Thank you.
A whole slew made up.
Okay.
Okay, Chief, I have a couple more questions for you. The cameras in the cars, are we up and running?
We're up and running.
So we have live.
Yeah, we've overcome some mechanical issues and their function as they should. So.
Yeah, there's been a concern too with the loss of detective Trexler that we fall behind in our DV cases. Are we maintaining a backlog?
As of just got another case today, so we got a grand total of 2. And matter of fact, the new case I worked on today myself. So we have no backlog at this point in time.
Okay. And then the last thing is, I have every confidence in the world that North River Road is going to be open before school starts. In the event that it's not, do we have plans in place for traffic control?
Yes, sir. On the first week of school, I'm going to beef up patrols in that area, utilizing reserves. If I can get in the morning, which I should be. And of course, the on-duty officers will be in the area. And then myself and Jim, Mr. Bowery, we've discussed perhaps moving that sign a little bit off the road to enable two-way flow of traffic to make it a little safer.
Yeah, the road is the sign is kind of in a bad spot in the intersection.
Yeah. So Jim and I have talked about how to alleviate that problem. But definitely going to beef up police presence in that area. Not enforcement-wise or anything, but just to be visible and maybe make people a little more safety conscious.
Great. And that's all I have.
If I may, on that one, and I don't know if the schools, but if they, God forbid it's not open, and they end up coming down Sheridan Cross, any thought to having the buses go in the back off Gatewood instead of coming out to North River?
They actually accident.
I know they do, but it just creates that much more traffic up at North River and Sheridan Cross. Because they can circle the parking lot.
Not anymore since they put the fence up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty much by them closing off the section of the back lot, you get one-way traffic through, because parents also drop off on that.
Right, okay.
It's, I'm glad you brought up Turning Cross. We've had a lot of complaints of traffic issues there. We have beefed up and we've written a few tickets on Turning Cross for both speed and stop sign violations there. So.
I can attest you're there. We kind of like that stop sign. There they are. I'm sure it's not.
Hey Chief, one thing I noticed, I was on Charing Cross last week. I was going one direction one time, one direction the other. And the first time there was no one around and the speed sign was showing like 34, 36. People were doing their normal thing. And then next time I came through, there was an officer sitting on the oval there and people were going like 24, 23. I was wondering if when we don't have the availability of a unit there, if it would be feasible to park one of the spare cars, just as a deterrent.
Sure, that's certainly possible. We have an older cruiser, I believe it's 304. Definitely.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
They always put a mannequin.
We could put
a
mannequin in there. We could read that's a red tail.
And the thing is, it is started than that. Even though they know it's fake, people slow down just an instinct.
Sure, absolutely.
The guy down, where was it, Salem, Ohio or something, he did a full-size poster of his brother-in-law with that was a deputy with a radar gun, and he would put it out by the bushes and slow right down.
But Mr. Busey, that's a great idea. We'll do that.
I had one more thing I forgot about this. We lost a resident this past weekend, and we lose residents all the time, but Pat Strangler was on Park Ridge Drive and had a heart attack this week. A terrific guy and a tremendous supporter for the city. And I spoke with his wife tonight and spoke with her. She was very, very complimentary of both the police and the fire department. She apparently had a heart event as well during this whole thing, and nothing but accolades for both departments. So in addition to losing somebody, we also gained the compliments of a grateful citizen.
On the same note, I talked with Lee earlier. What was it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago at Kimpton with the American Heart Association? We did
hands-free CPR.
Pardon?
Hands-free CPR. They did that.
We did.
Hands-only CPR.
They had a training kit. Everybody left with a CD and a little bag so that they could teach people at the house. I think we ended up with over 150 people that we trained on the basics, and they could take it home and train the rest of the family. Just if you do compression.
Right, that's the hands-only CPR, which is, you don't have to pay the registration fee.
We're talking about maybe doing that again.
Good.
That's a great program. I like to have
That's
people around those.
let that several of those in there.
Perhaps that's something, Mayor, we can throw in our citizen police academy.
That's a good idea too.
We do teach it in the police academy.
Okay, no, any more questions for the chief?
Well, do we have the phone system worked out yet?
Answering machine.
On that? Anyone?
Answering machines, you don't get caught in voicemail now when you call the police department?
No, same phone system.
Is there any movement on that at all? Because it's
ludicrous.
I was trying to be nice. Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry.
I'm just concerned with the city if something would
I
happen.
have to ask Mr. Bailey, and Mr. Bailey handles the phone system.
I shed a little light on that. We do have it through Roadrunner. We're just waiting on it to be set up. I believe Jamie's in the process of setting up at least one. People should not be calling that number for emergency.
But it's on the website, that's the thing.
Not for emergency.
Yeah. When you Google it, it comes up, that's the number to call.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, no, I really agree with you, but if you're calling that number, you want to talk to a detective, no one's at the desk, you just have to.
Why is it a simple question about parking?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, as the chief of police too, I sort of like to have a line where if somebody wanted to call me, they got a direct line to call me.
One of the biggest,
Good point.
one of the biggest issues we have with the phone system is when numbers go out, use the city hall numbers.
Yeah. Right.
So people, instead of calling the police department, they call city hall.
Absolutely. Right.
And then they get angry because they're calling city hall, not the police department.
Agree, yeah.
Excuse me. I was just going to say, when I'm in my office and Jamie's in the bathroom or over next door, I hear the phone ring, and I got to leave my office, I got to run out and answer the phone.
You can't do it from your office?
Yeah, you can pick it, but a lot of times I'm like up in my office and it's quicker just to run out front because it doesn't ring. It doesn't.
Right, that's an option they can turn on and off. At least they could when I left, but that was a long time ago. It was just a control.
Do they have phones, man?
Yeah, they did. Because you were chief over Cotton Falls.
Aren't they with the can and a wire though? String.
No, it was the shorty band meter days where they turned the light on. They needed the cops. That was a time when that's what it was.
You can't get a 100 watt incandescent light anymore.
I got one on subject.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, let's do community economic development. I got a short report. Upcoming event this Saturday. If you've never been to it, it's a nice one. The Talmadge Circle of Lights. They got a nighttime parade. It starts like after 9:30, 10 o'clock. Fireworks. They shut the circle down. They got truck vendors, which we should be doing again. All kinds of food vendors, all kinds of activities. They got kids activities. It's a good event. You can get over there for all ages. That's this Saturday. We have coming up to the read the report that Ann sent. I'm not going to read word for word. I'm just going to go over the highlights here real quick. She sent a report. Did everybody get this or not?
Yes.
Okay. Community Economic Development Status Report. Item 1, 9 South Main Street. Stowe Building Department continues to review plans. Business of the month, and this guy will not go out of business. If you have a little product in business of the month, we're a business, you all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's McDonald's, and Sal, the gracious owner across the street, will be coming in August 19th to receive his recognition for, and I know Steve brought it up, and the mayor had said some things at that Summit for Kids. I saw that McDonald's truck for the dentistry for the kids' teeth and all that. Sal was the lady said the first guy that called and helped her out when they started that thing. It was impressive to see that down here. So he'll be coming in on the 19th. Nomination forms are available at City Hall. Safe routes to school. The Stowe travel plan. Data for the area will be collected regarding student travel behaviors. They go through a whole process and get it to Ohio Safe Routes to School program. Website update, staff has obtained 4 quotes for a new website design. Currently, we're reviewing the information and cost. Chamber of Commerce welcome sign will be placed at our newest business, Walter Building Company, LLC, 84 South Main Street, a carpentry contractor, commercial and residential. Upcoming event, Economic Development Committee Industrial Breakfast will be here at the Munroe Falls Fire Training Room. That's Thursday, November 6, 2014. Topic, social media, risks and rewards. More information to follow. Number 6, was anybody at the farmer's market this evening? Or mayor, any update on that? Should just, it's running through October 14th. How they're doing there?
They're up there. They had a crowd in between the rains. So.
Yeah, that's what I wonder with the weather. Okay. 2 last things. We have, I know top office gone now officially, or is it still, we know?
I think they're still open right now.
Okay, so we're hearing reports that they may be closing. That's up in the air still, or we don't know?
I think we have the final schedule for the end of the month.
Okay. That could be going in Cupcake Binge, and it was still on the internet and stuff for sale and possible closing, so that could be a disaster over there if they all, that could be an empty building. Mayor, any updates on that back thing we talked about, the units?
Self-storage units?
Bush, apparently Bush is planning on doing what he should have done first, putting storage units. I have to get a hold of him and remind him that was several years back, and
he's going to come back to process. Okay. How about
he did remove the barn.
Yeah, he started some.
I saw that in the woods.
Tear down back then.
Thanks for following up. How about any follow-up with Ultra Crown? Or did you have a chance?
We've heard some conflicting things. Nothing solid.
Okay. All right.
Those were any word of the holdup on 9 South Main?
I haven't heard.
It's my understanding that the plans are under review over stuff.
Okay. The other thing I had down too is upcoming, and we got a lot of people who work for Goodyear and community. There'll be Christian Blimp, I believe on the 23rd out in Suffield. They gave away tickets and going to be a big event. We're lucky. I did not attend. Did anybody go to the LeBron party the other night? I talked to a few people that were there. Huge crowd at the Infosystem Stadium. They
sold out.
It was nice fireworks.
It was, yeah.
What does it sell out of to give up?
Bottom line, they packed the stadium. I didn't work with the number of people that were there. They talked about how nice it was and everything else. And the fireworks, cars wondered what was going on. They had a mess on the expressway.
They had a mess on the streets.
Well, they had a mess on the expressway. The whole fireworks. They're just stopping in the middle.
That's where you stop and watch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the byline, we couldn't buy that kind of press, whether you like him or not. It's great, he's back. Bottom line, ESPN, all these television stations, Fox, Akron, Ohio. you hear that more times because he came back. It's great publicity for the area. I mean, I don't think we could ask for better publicity. It was headline here for 3 days. And, you know, some of the events he's getting involved with, rehabbing the house and everything. I know some of that stage, bottom line though, it's good press. He's setting a good example, and hopefully
he's done that third grade thing for years.
Yeah.
A lot of houses, a television show, they do none of the rest.
Oh, no doubt, yeah, I know. But it's good they came to Akron, and I mean, again, every time you hear that name on a national TV thing, it just gives us a lot of good free publicity. That it's a great place. And last thing I want to mention, because I got an email, is Charles Jennings. It's just funny, I know there's a big controversy now with a policeman shooting a guy. We don't know the whole story yet, but this was what, 1964? We had some Akron policemen ambushed, famous story, and the last one passed away. One was killed on the spot, and the other one, Frank Mancini, who I knew personally over the years. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was paralyzed from the event. Bottom line is why I'm bringing that up. I just got a text a little bit earlier from FOP saying that this Charles Jennings, who's been in jail all this time, of course, is being considered for parole in 2014, and they're asking members and friends to write letters that the guy's a police killer, he shouldn't get out, it should be a life sentence. But that kind of stuff, you forget about it till you see that. I'm thinking, you know, it never ends. There's always something with it. But hopefully they'll keep that guy in prison when we have another officer killed in the line of duty. And that's it. Any questions?
I actually have an item.
Good.
This is, you know, this council and the city has been very supportive of the Still Munroe Falls Drama Club, and they are having a fundraiser for their Scotland trip. This is a big deal. I mean, as far as the last year, exactly. And this is by invitation only. They have to be nominated, and there's just it's a fairly involved process, but they were selected again to go in 2015, in August of 2015. It's like $6,000 a kid. It's very expensive. So they try to do fundraisers as much as they can to try to defer some of those costs. And I can speak. My son got to go on this last year. It was an experience of a lifetime for him. So hopefully another 12 or 13 kids will get that opportunity next year. One of the fundraisers, and actually Mr. Pitts brought this to my attention, was on Saturday, September the 6th, they're having a fundraiser golf outing at Fox Den. And one of the things that's on here kind of caught my eye was the whole sponsor, $70. So if everybody's interested, maybe only $10. We can talk about this again at our next meeting next week.
Who's that?
Saturday, September the 6th.
I'd like to have
Right.
What's the golf outing? The golf, how much? The cost per golfer is $65.
What's that? Just golf?
Lunch, dinner, and prizes.
And probably a certain amount is tax deductible.
I would think it doesn't have that on here, but
I'd like to add too that those kids raise the majority of the money themselves, so they don't. I don't think there were a lot of parents that paid the full ride.
Oh yeah, no.
They really work hard over the next 12 months to put together. Actually, I think they have some deadlines. They had the final payment was in May 1st or something like that.
Yeah.
It's early, so they don't have a whole lot of time. So any help we appreciate.
So you're requesting council
to
kick in $10 a piece to sponsor a hole.
And the mayor should sponsor a hole too. And the finance director, police chief. I'm just trying to help you out, Tom. The police academy can sponsor.
Cover the back nine.
The police academy can sponsor a whole batch.
They should contact you.
And just a note, I wasn't aware of this, and it's probably nothing we can handle, but I was at Mr. Ford Clark's tractor repair, which someday we should give them business of the month, because he's been there a long time, there's a lot of Yeah, that's what he said. His guy that runs it goes there to get his tractors and stuff repaired, and he said he's looking for a place.
They're pulling the plug.
Yeah.
I thought it was just gonna.
They want to go a different way in the falls. They just the different concept. And Early's a very emotional person. I know him well. And he's mad now. And we don't. At first, I got some calls on it. I said it'd be great, but we don't really have an area. Unless Sonoco gives us that whole. Yeah, there's nowhere to. I thought
Well, they
Metro
should turn
Park.
around a little bit, though. You know, there you go. The doctors get rid of this.
I thought it was just you're going to review more and then just.
He's not going back, is what I was saying.
Early said about it.
He's like another rocket on the roof.
It's a shame.
Falls rocking on the roof.
Well,
We can't handle this, too bad you can't put it in the amphitheater.
I know, I talked about it.
It's a shame. It'd be cool if we could do it.
We'll fix the amphitheater, make Bob pay for it, then Ron will be happy. There, see, you're trying to help me out, Ron.
The only trouble is where we're gonna park,
Well, you know,
soccer field.
there's a business opportunity for somebody.
We annexed part of Stowe, like Delta. Knock that out. The chief could give lots of overtime.
We'll switch lands. Yeah.
Actually, in school, but Bob and I are old friends. And,
Sounds like they beat you up in school, okay.
I talked to him years ago about doing something, and there's a lot of challenges to have something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Putting $25,000 up and hoping it doesn't rain and hoping you don't have problems every week. It is, but he's done well with it, no question. He knows what he's doing. He's a good promoter on that. Okay, thanks for those items, guys. And onward, let's go to finance and audit. Mr. Tove?
Yeah, we don't really have a whole lot on our agenda now. We'll obviously next week we'll be going over our month-end numbers for the month of July, and then we have a resolution for second reading on the streetlights, and that's it. So,
Auditors are in-house.
as I was saying, they are due to wrap up.
Daniel will wrap up.
Well, that's true.
They put their time in.
Okay. That's it, great. Thank you. General Government Services, John?
Yes, I also got an email from Ann regarding the web pages. She wants me to find somebody else. I am going to meet with somebody tomorrow regarding that. Mr. Mayor, am I allowed to talk prices? Like, I have other quotes, and she gave me a price. I don't know if I'm allowed to or not. So I can tell them what they're, okay, because I think that I can be cheaper than, and better quality than what they offer. So I will meet with them tomorrow, and then go from there.
We would like to be able to do the changes in-house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, how I know, yeah.
But
what I discussed previously that we'll have, how it would be, would have a kind of, it's a WordPress template, and you have modules, and basically they can train employees to actually put dates and things and whatnot in there. And there'll be, there will be some sort of retainer cost per year, but for the most part, it's going to be the having one of the first costs and some kind of retainer cost, maintenance costs, and from there. But it'll just basically will be you guys doing it, all the stuff. So it'll be cheaper by the long run. But yeah, I'll get details on that tomorrow. I'll let you guys know.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I guess I'm going to hand it over to Chief over here, Robert, and I'll take everything else.
Okay, a couple quick items. We did hire a new employee last month, Jeff Carroll. Comes to us from the city of Stowe. Service department. He's also worked a number of years at Metro Parks. He started on the last week of July. We're still waiting for civil service to meet to certify the applications we have right now for that second position that we're filling. That would help with the AMR installations. We started our valve exercise program with the machine that we got from Workers' Comp on the grant. We started in Ward 1. We're about a third of the way completed in Ward 1. Catch basins and Inspection and cleaning programs near completion. We started that a couple weeks ago, about 99% completed, and we'll be compiling a priority list for repairs. Some catch basins that we've already repaired within the last 2-3 weeks. We had to do rebuild 2 complete basins over here at Geis Park at the entrance to the avenue. Also replace a lateral. The metal lateral is all rusted out. Spring Garden Park Ridge, we did some repairs. Still have to finish that up by the road's undermined here, so we're going to have to do something underneath the concrete road, whether we cut out and remove a section of concrete, or we use mud jacking to put fill in there. Munroe Falls Avenue, just east of Richard, we have to rebuild a catch basin also. AMR, we're still finalizing the contract with Clara. My understanding is both our legal department and theirs working out some details on the contract. We're working on the 2014 sidewalk program. Obviously, that was delayed quite a bit. This year we have a tremendous number of repairs we have to do in-house. Even with that said, though, one thing we might want to look at is considering the way the economy is, both for an individual and for the city, to consider possibly putting that on hold as an automatic type thing and going back to a nuisance abatement. The city of Stowe, for example, did away with their program a couple of years ago, and they are basically doing it by nuisance, get a complaint, and go out and address each one individually. Something to think about up to this year. I was going kind of for it because we're only getting 2 to 4 repairs a year. Just steeple changes is extremely, has a lot of problems up there, and it's due to the trees and the tree lines. Trees have outgrown their tree line area, and they're causing tremendous damage to the sidewalks, which is also something to be handled through nuisance abatement. We're in the process of scheduling our second street sweeping for the year. Hopefully it'll be up this month. Hydrant flushing, we hope to start by the end of August or early September. We do have to replace a hydrant on North River Road. We've been working with the manufacturer on that to find the most cost-effective way of doing it. This hydrant was damaged when we had to thawing frozen water lines. And we have 2 additional hydrants. All said and done, basically what we have to do is replace the entire hydrant. It's actually cheaper than replacing all the parts that are bad and got welded from the thawing. We're working still to try and receive quotes. It's been very challenging to find a company that's willing to come out and do water work this time. They're only so busy. Most of our normal people we deal with aren't even taking on new projects until possibly winter.
Is that the water lines on North River you're talking about?
Basically, we almost have to replace all of the service lines that can be lowered on the north side of Munroe River Road. We had 6 services that froze last year, and we had a significant amount of collateral damage as they resolved that. So we're trying to address those issues before winter.
And I believe the contractor's going to pay the cost of that, is that correct?
The contractor originally said that they would do the repairs, but then they asked the city to do the repairs and hopefully we'll reimburse us for it.
And Bill, I mean, I think that's what Mr. Morrison said.
I'm sure that Mr. Morrison will.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We also
If
go down.
they don't come forward and pay that.
We'll collect.
We will collect that.
We're also starting concrete repairs. Basically, we're just now getting around to making repairs on the concrete streets where we had to excavate last winter for water line repairs. We'll be doing work on and storm sewer, like on Geis Park. We're doing work on Geis Park, Prentice, and Millwood. We're also going to be starting full-depth asphalt repairs within the next 3 weeks. Unfortunately, we have to concentrate on the worst areas because we're pretty much out of money in that road maintenance budget. We've really used a lot of that. And this is the last week for our mowing crew. So we'll be taking over those responsibilities. The crew this year did an excellent job. And 4 individuals, so 2 of them have been back for a number of years. We'll probably be losing our supervisor for that. This will be his last year at college. And hopefully we'll be in an internship so we won't see him. So, but kudos to those members who are doing that. Councilman Toth asked for a breakdown of some prices on the stormwater repairs. These are all related to that May 12th storm. This does not include North River Road, obviously, at this point, and it does not include labor costs for our individuals. For the work down the house, it does include materials and contractual services. We've vetted out items. Right now, we're about just over $102,000. It's kind of interesting to know we have gone through just the material, over 565 tons of material to restore the areas that were washed out, the burns and roads and so on. We're still working on the water line easement on Loop over the hill. There's some challenges there we're trying to work out with the metro parks. Since that new house has gone in, there's been some issues down there with flooding under the trails they didn't have in the past. And we're still working on hearing and revisiting some of those areas we've already worked on, such as Spray and Gene, because we're trying to work with some residents to allow us to go in and do some new repairs to help keep the rest of the road from washing out. We anticipate when all said and done will be just under $135,000 with repairs. That does not include again the North River Road. Cost estimates on that, I believe, was a little over $48,000 for materials. However, that did not include the guardrail, which might have to be brought up to state specs, and paving of the asphalt. So it's probably going to be up there a little bit once we're said and done, probably an additional $15,000 to $20,000 on top of that 48. Other than that, unless there's any questions.
Full depth asphalt repairs, you said the worst streets.
Yes.
Vested interest, but is Luton amongst those? Does
Some areas will work until we're out of funding.
Well, I know, but as you know, you've been up there. It's some crazy.
Probably one of our worst areas. Luton is in bad shape, but if you've been down on the 100, Green side of town, those are probably the worst streets in the city. This one on the north side. We also have some issues in some other areas. We need to do a repair on North River Road before winter, where the water line is set.
That's that dip just east of Oak. I was going to ask you about that. Thank you, because that's getting pretty picture.
Mr. Barry, what's involved in the sidewalk program of changing that to a nuisance abatement?
Basically, it is a nuisance abatement. That's how we force them to do the repairs. We run into a lot of opposition, especially in the steeplechase area. But basically, what we have right now by ordinance, we go out and we do an inspection of all the sidewalks in different quadrants. Each year is a 4-year program. I think this is probably going on the 3rd year for the steeplechase in the south and 91 area. Most areas, this program has worked very effectively. There are very few issues. What a nuisance abatement program we basically do instead of we wait for complaints, or if we notice an area that was serious, we would go in there and address it. A lot of times what we have to address the possibility of having them remove the tree that's causing the issue. A lot of people want trees to go back in. We do have a tree ordinance for the tree lawn. However, it does not include what trees are to be planted. It includes what trees are not to be planted.
I'm just curious, Kip, do you know, this is our second time through steeplechase, right?
Second or third time.
Second or third time through. I just want Mr. Barnes to understand that. And if you know, did we require trees in the tree lawn that are planted?
The tree lawns, the trees up in steeplechase are required by the association and still are.
I understand that, but did our planning commission require those?
That I don't know.
And I'm just thinking future, when we do, if we have any other large developments, we need to be thinking about that. If we require certain landscaping, I mean, trees in the tree lot sound wonderful and nice, so let's upheave the sidewalks and get to your water lines and sewer lines, and I just want to don't like even the city being in a position of requiring it, but it's going to create a problem for all of us.
You know that the term devil strip is indicative to Northeast Ohio. I don't believe it's used, it may start spreading, but usually isn't used in any other areas than Northeast Ohio. And once you start planting trees there in the tree lawn, as other people call it, then you find out why they call it the devil strip up here. Because I think even pear tree was a popular tree, but it roots and that. You know, usually a tree lawn, to be able to sustain a tree, it has to be quite wide. And, you know, I don't know that, I talked to a friend over at Silver Lake that is their tree guy, volunteer. And apparently there are some trees that the roots won't do it. But, you know, you have to have permission from the city to plant anything in there.
Well, we approved the planting of the trees that are causing the problem with people that pay for those sidewalks. That's the part of it that.
Get the wrong.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I get it. I'm saying it's not his fault, but.
That's why they call it the devil strip.
You know, we may want to reconsider that and.
Yeah, those particular trees are actually chosen by the homeowners association.
But we had to approve them.
We had to approve them, but it's a big fight right now keeping them put back in, so they're looking for, if they want to put them back in. The issue is a lot of places have arborists, and what happens is they initially might pay to put the tree in, and a lot of times the city takes over responsibility for taking care of those, and they either charge it back. That's a very big undertaking and cost. But some local area cities are doing around us are actually trying to talk people out of planting in the devil strip, and actually they do some of the cities around us provide trees, and they actually encourage them to plant them on the other side of the sidewalk, on their side, and actually help them with the locating.
Well, I had a conversation with the arborist at Western Reserve Academy, who used to be the arborist for the city of Hudson, and he strongly suggests you don't plant any trees and any tree lawns unless they're at least 6 feet wide. Now, Hudson, Western Reserve Academy has some very
and our tree lawns, the majority of them are 6 foot wide, but the issue is, especially up in an allotment like Steeplechase, all the utilities.
Right,
in the tree lawn.
Right.
Phone line, cable line, gas, the water mains are in the tree lawn. They're not in the streets. So you have all those utilities.
We could always pass an ordinance prohibiting those trees and then they couldn't put it back in.
We had a big pine tree up on North River on a corner lot that messed up the sidewalk. They lifted it up, they cut the roots. It was a corner lot, so they cut around there, put the sidewalk back. Big storm came by and the pine tree didn't have anything holding it in there. And I knew it hit it into the house, and the guy was madder and more at us.
Can't blame me. I mean, really.
I can't blame you. You know, it's.
Jim, another question for you too, related to that limb trimming along the sidewalks. Do we do that, or do we notify them?
Technically, under our ordinances, we are to notify the homeowner. It's their responsibility to maintain the trees a certain height above both the roadway and the sidewalks. Last year, we had a program that we were so far behind, and we had so many complaints. We actually went through the neighborhoods and saved them money by us doing it. With the heat we got from that, I don't know.
I know that was over Steeplechase, you know, the main one. Boy, I heard it a lot. You know, the reason I went to that neighborhood.
Good. If you were tallying the remarks, we still were in the black to the positive. Yeah. There was a lot of issues, even though Steeplechase, since they have a large number of trees and they're so overgrown because they've not been maintained, it's a causing trend. In fact, just the other day, Kimball tore off a 4-inch branch off of the tree, just trying to get it to the curb. You can't plow the curb, which means you don't get the water, the snow from away from the catch basins, which means they freeze and then the asphalt flows further out to the roadway. So it's a big problem. But that can be addressed. If it goes strictly by the ordinance, it can be addressed as a nuisance. If it is blocking, you can't have anything from their side of the sidewalk intruding onto the sidewalk, or anything in the tree lawn causing either pedestrian or traffic issues.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned it is North River Road between Kempton, between Park Ridge Drive and Riverview. There are a number of limbs that they're very low.
Yeah, that's some overgrowth, like little base property.
Yeah.
Have we ever approached the homeowners association concerns and problems, and let
Yes.
them educate their members.
In fact, they even put a sign out front, if you're gonna remove a tree or plant a tree, contact them.
As far as the trimming and everything, I mean,
We actually approached them prior to us going up and trimming it, so they could talk to their members, because that is sensitive to some of those people up there.
right,
And gave them the opportunity to go through and trim the trees before we got there.
right.
And we actually put the program on hold for about a month and a half.
I just want to make sure we made the effort.
And more on the next, or
I just had one quick question. You know, getting back to North River Road, you know, if this all goes through and, you know, the repairs are made, does it make any sense to have some sort of signage on there to warn people that it's a high water area?
We can put signage on our side.
Won't be our side anymore.
Won't be our side.
Well, it won't be our side. The way it goes through, Stowe could do that. They could put signage, but there's typically after heavy storms and stuff, there's branches and stuff that needs picked up.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as some areas where you have a constant flow of water across the road, like 303 up in Twinsburg area, where they do have the high water signage.
Just, you know, somebody, I was listening to Mr. Meyer there, and I have to agree that, you know, somebody's not familiar with that road, there's no lights down there.
That's correct.
You really have no idea that you're going to drive through, you know, 6 inches of water, and, you know, next thing you know, you're on the
Well,
other side.
it's for some people, and not to say it's young males, but, you know, you got Billy Hill, and then you got this one where you get a good loop a little, and, yeah, it's.
So if we could just.
Not everybody drives like you, man.
If we can
I don't drive like that anymore.
make that recommendation at some point, you know, it just seems to me that, you know,
Yes.
let people know what's coming.
That's been said. It's been brought up.
okay, all set, move on. Okay, next, Mr. Pitts, Planning Commission.
My last.
No.
Well,
Park.
oh, darn, because stretch it out or something. Planning hasn't met since last meeting with council. We meet again on the 26th. We have one application so far, and it's just a roof on a patio. We meet, I guess why I said that, well, we meet August the 26th, and that's all I have to say. BOZ is not meeting again this
They're not working.
Okay. Questions, moving on, Parks and Recreation, Mr. Griesig.
What board is scheduled to meet Thursday the 14th, 7 p.m.?
And the key topic, Mr. Meyer, is to get a date for River Day 2015.
And the retaining, you guys may know this, but the retaining wall on Northern River's done.
Yes, and the sidewalk.
Yeah, and the sidewalk. I mean, I think the sidewalk's probably cured by now.
Right.
Yeah.
Ingersoll did the retaining wall.
Although as you come down the road, I think you look at the rest of those walls, we may want to do a little preventive repair.
I don't know, what do you take a bulldozer and push them?
Well, I don't know, but they're pushing, there's a lot of,
They're leaning.
I mean, you talk about tree invading the sidewalks, but some of those retaining walls. Yeah.
Well, they've got it.
How long ago did they put those in?
Well, when we did the sidewalk up there, according to Mr. Morrison, they're all our responsibility.
So they were
Around
on
2000?
Because they didn't put any dip.
I don't know if they did any deadheads back there.
No, it's just leaning. It was leaning this way, now it's leaning this way.
I don't think so. You know, and they probably didn't do a whole lot of drainage.
I'm sure they did not.
All right, any for good order, I'd say we adjourn unless there's anything else. I think we're good. Okay, 8:24. we're adjourned.
Proud of you, you didn't make a comment about the board.
They followed the same